So today I'm going to be going over chapters 5 and 6. Obviously going to start with chapter 5, chronological order. So the title of chapter 5 is Learning is the Master Skill. And this chapter was important to me because I really like studying stuff. I really like acquiring a lot of new knowledge and a lot of new skills. One of my professors just called me like a Renaissance woman because I like dabbling in everything. But I also like developing a certain amount of proficiency in everything because of like if you're not good at it, then you're incompetent and thus useless. But anyway, that's not really having anything to do with this chapter. So this concept of you need to be able to learn how to learn is really important because, you know, with my current cohort and in acknowledging who I am as a person, we're going to go out into the world and we're going to be thrust into leadership positions just kind of like by the nature of who we are. Leadership, as we examined, I think, in chapter 3, leadership is both leading a team but also knowing when to step back and follow and just be in a supportive role. So, we're constantly leading, regardless of which side of the coin we're on. But this idea of being able to learn how to learn is really important, especially, again, for myself and my cohort. A lot of us are perfectionists, including myself, and so we want to get it right the first time. But the example in the book was of this guy named Urban, and how he didn't fall down once on his very first day sledding or skiing, and his instructor was like, well, actually, Urban, I think you had a crummy day because you didn't learn anything. Like, what'd you learn? And that's really important to think about, especially when you're going out of your comfort zone and doing new things. Like, for example, for myself, I know how to speak Spanish. Like, ya hablo español, I speak Spanish and I speak French. And I'm really comfortable sitting in those two languages. But the world speaks a lot more languages beyond just Spanish and French, okay? I decided last semester that I would pick up Chinese. So I took Chinese 101 with the infamous Dr. Day, and it was interesting, and it was different, and it was a whole new ball game than me trying to learn Spanish and French because I had never been exposed to the Chinese sounds before, and I had to relearn my learning strategies for languages because these two languages, Spanish and French, being so similar in nature with their grammar structure and the vicinity in which people are speaking Spanish and French over in Europe. Like I was already accustomed to what the European customs were, and European sayings and European mannerisms and dichos is what we say in Spanish, which is also sayings. And they were like parallel. They're just parallel languages. I always call French the cursive version of Spanish. Cursive version of Spanish. And so in learning Chinese, I just sit up here and like redo my entire learning habit. Like it was a trip, to say the least. Another thing that I've had to acknowledge has been my process. So I've always been a disorganized human. I've now accepted the fact that I'm a disorganized human. I tell my mom all the time, I'm chaotic chaos, and she is organized chaos. And I'm in my mom's office right now, and you'll see all of these books and shelves and boxes, okay? She has a lot of junk. I acknowledge this, and I love her for it. But it's all in boxes, and it's all organized. I don't have a lot of junk, but it is everywhere. It is... Actually, this is so random. I'm going to share with you all how it is that my brain works, and I don't know if I can turn the camera around. So we're just gonna like point to my mess. Like it's hideous, but this is literally how I work. I have my notebook here. I had my breakfast here. I had whatever I was doing over there. I have 2 books that I'm reading for 2 different classes, but they're with the same professor. So my brain kind of puts them together. I don't know if you saw like any of that. Well, I don't remember where my camera's at. I'm sorry. But, like, I'm a mess, and I need to acknowledge the fact that I'm a mess, and that I'm not going to be like my mom and all nice and organized and pretty boxes. And that is a part of the learning curve that I have to go through, because my brain doesn't work like hers. And in trying to make my brain work like hers, there is an aspect of me that I lose out on. So, my whole process of learning, as I've explained now to my mother and my employer several times, is you have to show it to me 3 times. Like, I have to physically see you doing it, like a bunch of times. And then you have to teach me, like literally side by side with me, show me how to do it, like hold my hand as I write. Okay, if I'm learning how to write, for example, show me how it's done. Do that a couple times. And then separate yourself, but watch over me as I'm doing it with your guidance, being like, oh, move your hand here, do this, do that, give me feedback, immediate feedback, so I know what to adjust. Finally, you can step back further away, but I still need that support. I'm going to ask a lot of questions because now I'm, experimenting and failing and trying new things. I'll be writing and I'll spell a word wrong, or maybe I'll write an A incorrectly, or, something random. I got to call you over. Teacher, please. Like, how do I do this again? Like, I completely forgot. Like, I know you explained it like 6 times already, but forgot. Sorry. And then finally, it'll be kind of solidified in my brain. I'll create that little cubby system, is what the educational psychology speak that we use, that has it stored, and that it's stored for life, which is great. But I need that whole process of modeling behavior and then guided help, and then further guided help, but the guider is like farther away, and asking lots of questions, and then we got it. But I've had to go through 20 years of life to figure that out, to say the least. So learning how to learn is so terribly important, because we're going to be thrust in all these different situations. And if we don't know how to adapt to our different situations, then it doesn't matter how many languages we speak or how many courses we've taken or what have you, because we will not adapt to what the needs of that situation are. And that is by far the most important takeaway for me for this chapter. You need to be able to adapt to what your people, your downline and your upline need. You need to be adaptable, especially in the 21st century with everything that's changing so quickly. So the other thing that the book mentions in this chapter that I really thought was important was this idea of growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And so as a teacher, once again, I'm music education. So as a teacher, beforehand, like, early industrial revolution-y time when education was just getting solidified in the country, all the way up to like mid-2000s, this idea of a fixed mindset was like really pervasive in our educational systems. And IQ tests were a thing, even though they weren't measuring the full capacity of the child. They were just measuring what was convenient for the education system, which was reading and writing. And you have students who are coming to the school system like without that background, so they're failing, and then they're looked at as idiots, and then they go to the stupid classes, and then no one gives them any resources, so they don't improve. And it's just like this whole spiral effect that is awful to witness. And I keep thinking about how many 30-year-olds have gone through the school system who are like not living up to their fullest potential. They don't realize how smart they are because they've had a system teach them through a fixed mindset that you are not good enough. I absolutely hate systems like that. And it's important to not get caught up in my own system of fixed mindset, because I'll often be like, well, if I'm not good enough, then I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm sure someone else better will come along and they can do this. And recently, the shift in my mindset has been, this is because of the motivational videos I've been watching every morning, or, every couple mornings. I have these ideas. I have all these grandiose ideas, and I have them for a reason, Like, it's not just, oh, here's a calculator. No, it's not something random. There's a reason as to why I have been gifted with these ideas, gifted with these burdens, if you will. And there was one of the lectures I was listening to was saying, at the end of your life, you're either going to die with all these ghosts around you, or you're going to die like with a fulfilled life. And what Les Brown, again, what Les was saying with that is, you have all of these visions and all these goals and dreams, and every time you ignore that burning passion inside of you, that is another ghost that is created. And at the end of your life, you're going to have to confront the regret of all the things that you haven't fulfilled, all of the dreams that you haven't fulfilled because you were too scared, or you didn't have a good self-efficacy model, so you said, no, I'm not that person, I can't do that. So I don't want to be that. So I really, really am trying to expand my horizons now because of this. I'm working with a growth mindset for myself now for the first time in years, because I don't want to, I left high school with a lot of regrets. Like, I was like, oh, I'm sad I wasn't a part of the high school Spanish Honor Society or French, whatever, and Student Senate and blah, blah, blah. And when I got to college, I dabbled in like different things, but I was still really scared and I was still really fearful, so I didn't put my all into anything. But now I'm like looking at all of my peers and they're doing all this cool stuff, and I'm like, well, I want to be able to stand my ground, stand equal, stand at the shoulders with my peers and say, look at this tree that we're leaving here. Like, look at this legacy that we are leaving the school with. I really want to do that. So that is kind of my motivating why for going out and getting involved with things that I normally wouldn't be involved with, and just sticking my nose into other people's business. I'm joining BSU finally after 3 years of just not joining. I'm in this class, this leadership class, which is really cool. I am taking on more leadership roles in my community. By being a part of the National Association for Music Educators on campus. I also decided to join the sorority Theta Phi Alpha, because like I don't want to leave college with any regrets at this point, and I can't keep being afraid of, oh, well, I'm just not good enough. No. I have to move with a growth mindset. And so the question that it asks us to deal with, the computer just shut off, is today, what will I do that matters? And so for me, I started doing performance videos about once a week. As of right now, hopefully I'll get to doing them every single day, but there's two reasons as to why I'm doing these performance videos. And one, I keep getting this feeling that like something bad's gonna happen. And so if I die, like I want people to know that I was here. This is like coming from Beyonce's song, I was here. It's so good. Listen to it. But all of the dramaticness and antics aside, like, I don't know what I looked like in high school because I didn't take any photos because I thought I was ugly. I haven't taken any photos throughout college because still thought I was ugly. Now, I don't care. I'm taking all these selfies. I'm taking all these videos because I don't want to leave my mom with any burdens. Like, I have no pictures of my child, and I don't want my friends to just be like, well, what happened to you? Like, no pictures and you're dead. Now we have nothing to remember you by. And I don't want another 10 years to go by and not have the opportunity to go back and eventually show my kids, like, look, this is what your mom looked like when she was 20 years old. Crazy, right? So that's really part of it. The other thing is I am a music teacher, and I'm going to be having my kids perform a lot, right? Like that's what music is. It's performing. And so I can't rightly say to my kids who are dealing with anxiety, depression, all these things that I deal with, I can't say to them, oh, well, you have to do this assignment if I don't have any proof that I've also gone through the same things that they're going through and I've persevered. So this is an opportunity for me to be kind of like a mini spokesperson for my future students and be like, look, I get it. You go through the anxiety, but girl, you got to get up on that stage because you have power in your voice. And that is the foundation that we come back to. It's encouraging students to recognize and take control of the power of their voice and say, this is me. This is who I am. I'm going to own it. So that's what I took from chapter 5. Chapter 6 then is leadership emerges from within. Ooh, this is a good chapter. This is a deep chapter because this chapter forced me to really take a moment and reflect on everything it is that I run away from in my life. And I run away from a lot of stuff. I keep saying I'm a fighter, but I'm not. I'm a lover. I hate fighting. I deal with a lot of anger issues in my life. I used to deal with anxiety, depression, dealing with feelings of not being good enough, and couple that with perfectionism and a painful fear of rejection. Like I was so scared of being rejected by anybody, everybody. Oh my gosh, it was awful. And so there is a point in developing your leadership skills where you need to decide what it is you want your impact to be. If you're going to be an effective leader, you need to figure out how to intimately relate to those that you are leading. And I again go back to my work experience, because I work with a lot of high school students who are going through absolute hell, same hells that I've endured through the depression and anxiety and, everything that high school students go through. And for me, I have realized, I've come to the realization that I provide a certain beacon of hope for a lot of my kids. Like, work now has become their safe space because of the community that we have fostered and that we have developed here, which is, I need to start taking credit for things, which is in part because of me and the way that I shape our environment at work. And so we have to, I had to really look back and ask myself, well, why am I behaving in certain manners, and why am I reacting and being triggered to certain things that my coworkers and my managers are saying to me, and how can I overcome that so that I better serve the needs of the team? And so this chapter was really pivotal in helping me get past this whole anxiety, depression, not good enough thing, and just really start developing a sort of curiosity for everything. Because, to talk about death again, we are all going to die at some point in time. It's the inevitable thing that man keeps trying to run away from. But if you kind of walk with, this is so dark, if you kind of walk with death next to you, as I have done as a person who has dealt with depression and suicidal ideations, if you look at him or her as a friend and you say, look, I know my time is going to come at some point, but while I'm here, I want to live the best life that I can, you start to look at things with such an awe and curiosity. It's like everything has a new, refreshing glance to it. Everything's exciting, and you can share that excitement and that passion with other people. And I wouldn't be able to get to this point of passion and curiosity for life without first conquering, like, my fear of death. And that is also can be a metaphor for fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. These are called social deaths in educational psychology. So the fear of social suicide by being rejected by the friend group that I'm trying to be in with limits me from being able to really show people my true colors and my true self. Like, I'm crazy passionate about a lot of things, and I'm a crazy workaholic, and that can be intimidating to some people, but it can also be the motivating factor that other people need to help get their lives together, or to help motivate them to go for, whatever it is that they're trying to do in their life. And so I need to let go of a lot of the negative and just be like, hey, I'm here, I'm living, I'm really excited, I'm really curious, and just have this straight awe and curiosity about life. So for chapter 6, it is, again, entitled Leadership Emerges from Within. I've been doing a lot of the affirmations, a lot of the motivational videos that I've been listening to, and also just spending a little more time reflecting. For example, I normally listen to music in car rides between work and school, but for the past month or so, I've just turned the music off, and I've just been sitting with my thoughts. Instead of hyping myself up with music, I'm just like, all right, well, how am I feeling today? What's going on in the world? Like, what do I want to do today? What's the impact I want to have in my kids' lives? Driving on my way to work and then driving back to school, it's been like, oh, today went well, but how else? Like, what else can I do? What else should I be doing? What's the one thing I really want to accomplish today? And then I go home and I accomplish it. So it's been top tier. But anyway, this chapter has us create a lifeline of the past, the present, and our peaks. So I've already spoken about my past, the anxiety, the depression. These things stem more from my childhood and my high school experiences. Presently, I have had issues in accepting my true self. I keep trying to morph myself against, to become a different version that I have in my mind, which is both good and bad, because, you want to consistently evolve, but you don't also want to invalidate who you are fundamentally. And fundamentally, like I said, I am chaos. That's what I am, and I have to bask in that. I wrote in a poetry class last year, the line that I keep referring back to in my own head is, I am a creator and destroyer, and through this form of art, I seek to find peace. So, I need to accept the fact that I am chaos, and in chaotic situations, there is normally a lot of destruction that occurs. But because of that destruction, you're able to either rebuild or completely create something brand new, which has never been there before. So, in accepting these kind of dualities, I'm able to move beyond a lot of the fears of rejection and a lot of looking for outside validation and starting to just validate who I am as a person. So peaks for me, I didn't really understand what was going on with the peaks. I'm not gonna lie. So I just did the three main things, like the three main pillars of my life, or the three main like units. Well, let's use education speak here. The three units that have shaped my life is when I was really young, I wanted to make a lot of friends. Like that's always my grandpa tells me all the time how cracked up he would be every time I would go to run to the playground and just run to anybody and be like, "Do you want to be my friend?" Because I was an only child and I just wanted friends. Like I love people. I love people so much, and that is still with me today. The second really big framework for my life has been the sense of justice. I don't remember what it came from, but I always had this inherent sense of justice. And whenever I felt as though something was unjust, you were gonna hear my mouth about it. And that still is present today. I'm rekindling that fire a little bit. But that's always been something that's been a part of my life. And now, as I look out into the world against all of the horrors that are going on that I'm learning about within my history classes, my sense of justice is kind of like shooting through the roof right now, and it's acting as a motivating factor for me to really push through these last 2 years of my education here at Benedictine and to really make use of it, because whether I like it or not, I do have immense privilege in being able to come to this school and receive a college education, and if I don't go out and do anything with it while simultaneously knowing and understanding all of the hell that everyone else is living through, that really messes with my sense of justice. So hopefully this class will provide me with a framework to start shaping all of my grandiose ideas into bite-sized little modules to accomplish within my lifetime. Or, at the very least, to set up the framework for someone else to accomplish beyond my lifetime. So, the final unit, if you will, has been to make a difference. Now, this is stemming from my fall of 2019's leadership course for my scholars program, and this idea of creating a legacy tree. At the time, I didn't really appreciate the course as much as I should have, but now in reflecting, I realized that I really do want to leave something here, leave something behind that says I was here, I lived, hi, I really want to just be able to advance the movement, whatever movement it is, be it Black Lives Matter, be it the women's movement, the environmental movement and crises that's going on. I want to be able to make a difference in each one of those sectors, because they all apply to me personally. And I think that, not to get too spiritual or whatnot, but who I am as a person is reflected in the world, and the chaos in the world is reflected into me as a person. Now, in saying that I accept my inherent chaos, I am both creator and destroyer, I'm able to let go of the burden of perfectionism in being a destroyer, and I'm also able to look at life with such a larger sense of curiosity and awe in being a creator and saying, well, how can we do this better? Because for so long in both this country and globally, people have said, oh, but we're fine with the way the system is. You know, if you go back through history, they were fine with slavery. They were fine with preventing blacks from having their full civil liberties within the country. They're fine with the incarceration rate. We're fine with all of the humanitarian issues that we've caused as a country in Latin America, such as in like the 1954 coup in Venezuela, in Guatemala, and the poverty crisis that we continue to support in Venezuela. Like, what? It's awful. How can these things exist? And yet they do, because people lack knowledge and they lack a drive to make a difference within other people's lives, and we lack compassion and empathy at the end of the day. So I really hope to start shifting sort of like the American consciousness about all of these different topics. But like I said, I struggle with making the grandiose ideas into bite-sized little snippets. And so I'm starting to implement my changes now within my immediate community, which is, again, why I'm really grateful for this class. We're working on the teach-in proposal for my project idea, and I'm also, I have 2 ideas in mind for BSU, provided I actually get information on how to join BSU. But those are issues for a different time, and at this point I'm just rambling. So anyway, chapter 5, chapter 6, really good chapters, really important for like reflection, self-development, really good emphasis on how do you develop as an individual and as a leader, and the importance of accepting yourself for who you are. So